December 21st, 2022. Well, Title 42 is just about to end, and then the Supreme Court put a temporary stay on it while they review the situation. They have asked for input from the administration, which has then provided their goal, which seems like they're willing to let it expire, but they want to be given more time to prepare for what happens, like a week or so. Hopefully the court won't do that, but will actually listen to the arguments that the states are bringing and simply overturn the lower court ruling that it had to end and continue Title 42 indefinitely, and thereby basically making the administration step up the plate rather than letting some kind of independent lawsuit in Title 42. Why don't they just have to step up and make an executive order if they really want to do it and take the full blame for what happens? There's no reason to let them off the hook on that, and hopefully the court will make the right decision here. But again, you never know what these courts will do. This one's been better than most, but we haven't really seen them get too much into immigration law like they did, previously years ago when Arizona was trying to fight the system a little bit. So we'll have to stay tuned in on that one. By the way, if you like these videos, please give me a like, and of course, more subscriptions are appreciated, and those who subscribe, of course, can click the bell for notifications if they want. Yeah, that's kind of my viewpoint, because, of course, Title 42 is only a stopgap. What we really need to do is change the asylum law and make it perfectly clear that to get asylum, except in very rare cases, that the approach is not to walk into the country and say, I need asylum, and then be let go for several years until you have a court hearing, but rather apply asylum in the first country you come to after you leave the country from which you're fleeing, and go to the U.S. Embassy or consulate there and apply there, and then wait for a decision about whether or not your case has any merits to come into the country. The last thing we need to do is to, have this situation ongoing. That alone would stop this problem we have right now, these fake asylums, like I mentioned in a previous video. I mean, very, very few of these people are in any way entitled to asylum. They're not fleeing any kind of political persecution. They're all basically looking for jobs or looking to reunite with family members or some other maybe reasonable goal. But the problem is that, that's not asylum. So at any rate, but the problem is, of course, getting the Democrats to agree to it. They're trying to blame the Republicans for this situation, which is completely absurd. I mean, whatever else you think about Trump, and he did a very good job, in my opinion, on trying to get the border under control, in spite of all the efforts of various factions to stop him. But he was persistent and actually was making tremendous progress before the end of his term. But anyhow, so the full blame for this pretty much goes on Biden for being out of control as it is right now. And so what you really need to have is much tougher laws on this subject in order to really address the issue. And so the other thing that's come up a lot, of course, is this $1.7 trillion omnibus bill, and I've addressed that previously. Although, unfortunately, it looks like, in spite of all of our efforts, it looks like right now they're going to pass it. The problem is we have 5 retiring Republican senators that have kind of gone wobbly since they're going out of office, and I think that seems to be one of the big issues. I'm not sure how many people are going to vote for it, but I know Rand Paul's made his normal speech against it, as is Mike Lee. But I think ultimately we're probably going to have it go through, unfortunately. And it's really sad, because this is going to reduce the leverage that the incoming House would potentially have to make some real impacts on both spending and the immigration issue, as well as other things. And I don't see the rationale to surrender this opportunity. Remember that we shouldn't be under a continuing resolution right now. The full budget should have been passed before September the 30th, so that we would have been fully funded back then. And that would be a whole different issue. But right now, we're talking about a situation where we've been under a continuing resolution for nearly 3 months. So what would be lost if we have, let's say, 1 more month of it? I mean, this is being kind of silly, in my opinion, to do this. But we'll have to wait and see what the final outcome is. But I'm not too optimistic. There's a lot of, you know, pork items in there, I guess, that that people, the senators want to get for their home states and stuff. But I think that's being rather short-sighted. So anyhow, now the other thing that's being discussed a bit is this count, electoral college count reform act, or however they call it. Now that's probably not a bad step, although I think they ought to go further. I don't see why Congress should have any real authority over the electoral count. To me, it seems to me like that fundamentally that's just asking for trouble. If the states have certified um, the electoral votes from the respective bodies and provided them to the Congress, it seems like the only role Congress should have is simply counting the votes. I mean, all the challenges that would be done in court or at the legislative level or whatever would be done should have been handled before it gets to Congress, and Congress should just count them. Because the problem is, we had one issue of this in 2020. But the bigger issue, in my opinion, is what if the Democrats try something like this? They're far more likely to get by with it. And that is the idea that a majority of both houses of Congress could simply vote to reject enough and switch the electoral votes of several states and allow their candidate to win. I mean, nobody's really tried to go quite that far yet, but why not? I mean, okay, you can talk about Trump, but the point of it is with Trump, his thing never had any chance anyhow, regardless of what Vice President Pence did. I don't understand why he didn't realize that, but he didn't have the votes in either house of Congress to overturn anything. And that's the simple fact. Like it or hate it, that's just the way it is. So anyhow, that's kind of my view on that, and we'll have to see, what comes up next. The good news is, I guess, in all this is by the end of the week, probably by Friday or so, this session of Congress will end, and we'll hopefully have control of the House next year, and hopefully the miscreants in the House will kind of calm down and finally pick Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, because let's face it, if it's not him, then who? I mean, the last time he was denied the speakership, we ended up with Paul Ryan, which was not a very good choice. And there's no real alternative I see that's better, that has any likelihood of getting the votes. So, at any rate, all for now on that. By the way, I will post this on Rumble as well, and the addresses of my social media accounts are in the description below. So, until next time.